Hey, it's another great day in the Mojave Desert of Antelope Valley outside of Norco. And today we're going to take a tour on the Dowen Nature Trail through Saddleback Butte State Park. Okay, don't forget to pay your $6 for the trail. The trail's about 0.6 miles long. Up here, this is the visitor center. You can check in there. They're open sometimes, not all the time. And here's the trail, right here. So we are in the high desert. We're standing at 2,668 feet above sea level, which endures the most extreme heat and sub-freezing temperatures. The local wildflowers and animals have adapted to survive in this region's challenging climatic conditions. This is Saddleback Butte, towering 1,000 feet over broad alluvial fans of sand and gravel that have washed down over thousands of years. And Saddleback is a prime example of Antelope Valley's characteristic granite buttes, rocky outcrops that formed 70 million years ago, deep below the Earth's surface as molten rock, cooled slowly and crystallized into granite. Gradually, wind and rain eroded the surrounding soil away. And look closely at the blend of crystals and colored minerals in the rocks. So the dark coating on the south-facing rock surfaces is a type of oxidation referred to as desert varnish. Early humans typically chose south-facing caves in cliffs and mountains for shelter because it is warmed by the low winter sun and shaded from the high summer sun. So here we are at Scenic Stop number 5 for Pleistocene animals. And 10,000 years ago, prehistoric lake covered this valley, and animals such as the mammoth-like Gamphotheres, the saber-toothed tigers, and the dire wolves roamed the area. Here are the tracks on the trail. And if we gaze across the Joshua Tree forest, imagine a giant sloth slowly eating the seed pods as prehistoric camels and miniature horses ambled by. All right, we're at marker number 6, and these are creosote bushes, Laria tridentata. Now, creosote bushes, like the one in front of you here, they've been widespread in American deserts since prehistoric times. And notice how these bushes form a part of a ring. If we walk around, you'll see there's outer bushes, and inside there's nothing growing. Wow. So what they do is they send out clones from their roots, and the old guy who lives inside dies, and these newer bushes, and they form. So you get these big wide rings of Laria tridentata. Now some of these rings are 12,000 years old, and this whole plant here is actually one plant that formed this giant ring. Now that is really cool. Here are the tracks of a Sidewinder snake. So he kind of just flips around as he moves sideways through the land. Very cool. So on our Laria tridentata, the creosote bush, we have these little tiny blossoms here that appear, wow, just about this time in February. Here are the beautiful Joshua trees, Yucca brevifolia, and the majestic Joshua tree grows only in the Mojave Desert. It's not a true tree, but it's an agave. And the fibrous trunks do not have any annual growth rings like trees do, so there's no real easy way to determine their age. They may live for only a couple of hundred years, or maybe longer. Our Joshua trees will have creamy white blossoms that cover the branches, and that ends in spring, but only if winter rains have been adequate. And the valley's Mormon pioneers have been credited with naming the Joshua tree because it has these uplifting arms of the bearded prophet Joshua. Here is stop number 8. And renewal is all around us. And you especially look for ant mounds, like we have over here, with their rings of ejected seed husks mixed with darker nutrient soil coming up from the ground. Now here's a dead Joshua tree. It's still a very important element in the cycle of the desert. It provides a home and protection for many creatures as it slowly decomposes and returns vital nutrients to the soil. Insects are helping in the decomposition process, and feeding on the insects is the yucca night lizard, which makes its home under the fallen branches of this Joshua tree. In turn, the lizard is prey for snakes, and the snakes are stalked by roadrunners and other predators. So this little dead Joshua tree is a vital source for the cycle of life in our Mojave Desert. Here's our stop number 9. And about 100 feet from this site, right down here, you can see a wash where the floodwaters carved the land as they rushed down from the buttes during the desert's periodic downpours. After a wet winter, spring flowers grow quickly and scatter their seeds before the summer heat can destroy them. And the seeds may lay dormant for decades until just the right conditions occur for them to germinate. This is number 10, the Tree of Life. So walk around this Joshua, a tree of life. Look for empty seed pods on the ground, discarded after birds and rodents ate or collected the seeds. Spy animal tracks and burrows around the base of the tree. Can you see bare branches where birds, such as owls, have perched? Numerous small holes in the trunk were probably left by a flicker or a ladderback woodpecker searching for insects. Look for chewed off leaves that rodents, such as the desert wood rat, use for food and building material. Listen for hidden creatures scampering around, and the wind whistling through the protective leaves. Joshuas were also part of life for the local Indians. The fibrous leaves were pounded and woven into rope. Their red roots were highly valued for weaving colorful patterns in their basketry. Blossoms could be eaten, and in the summer, seeds were ground into flour and cooked into mush. Now here at stop number 11, we're pretty lucky because we've got these silver Cholla cacti here. This one. I'll show you this one here. All right. This is a silver Cholla cacti, just Cylindropuntia. You can tell because the stems here are cylindrical shaped. Oh, don't touch it. The hooked spines, they help protect the plant from drying in the sun and the wind. And cactus wrens sometimes build their nests in these cholla for safety. So stop number 12, we have some more of our creosote bushes. Lyria tridentata. In the creosote bush, it has these tiny, tiny leaves and a hard outer skin to help retain moisture. And the deep roots, they draw water from far below the surface of the ground, and they spread wide to absorb every drop of water. And if you pinch and smell the leaves up here, after rainstorms, the creosote exudes a distinctive pungent odor that fills the desert air. And local Indians, they use the leaves of this plant for healing cuts. Look for signs of life underneath the creosote bushes, like we have here. Those little critters that love to burrow under these plants provide them shade and also food resources. But don't touch or tease or disturb the animals because they're pretty sensitive. Here's stop number 14. This is our downed Joshua tree. And if you look real closely at what we call the wood, it's not really wood because this is an agave plant. But the early pioneers, they used this for clean burning fuel for heating and cooking. Now remember, Don't touch or pick or disturb a down Joshua tree because they're a real good part of the ecosystem. Now, do you see an unusual accumulation of bark and wood sometimes? And this would be the home of the desert wood rat. And the desert wood rat will own these homes for many generations, but I don't see one here. Wow, take a look at this Joshua tree. This is absolutely beautiful. So the bark looks like it's been stripped down by some type of animals. So the heavy bark here on the outside, it's got these nice, just fuzzy, smooth inside here. So the animals, they'll pick off the bark. Like I said, they'll use it for nesting materials, even food. And up here, you see that as well? Now a lot of times when the birds perch on this, they'll also kind of erode off the outer bark of these Joshua trees. Now this area was a major Indian trade corridor. And looking southward down to Lovejoy Butte in Lake Los Angeles, there are several flowing springs and easy access from all directions in the Antelope Valley, which made this the major Indian trade corridor for items from the Southwest, California coast, and the Great Basin desert culture regions. And here we have some old Indian footprints walking through our path. Up here, and at the top, we have a nice little basket for carrying goods for trade. So all of our desert rocks, we have little lichen. It's attached to the rocks and it's growing right here. And it's slowly breaking down the rock with its acid. And the plants, they like to grow in the cracks of the rock. And as the roots grow, they enlarge in the crack and they break down these great boulders. And it does the desert's extreme cycles of heating and freezing also tend to crack these boulders here. Like this guy has a nice split on it. Over here, these guys are splitting. And the lichen, see how this lichen just grows in the cracks and it slowly even breaks down the rock further. So the question is, what comes first, the lichen or the crack? All right, so I'm going to assume it's probably a little of both. Because here we got lichen with no big crack, but it's going to crack this rock eventually. Maybe another million years or so, who knows. Now don't just stick to the desert floor, come up on the hills here a little bit, and in this super sandy soil, we have a new plant. This guy here. This is Rumix Hymenosa palus. He's also known as wild rhubarb. He's a flowering plant. He's native to North America. And you see him up here in Mojave Desert. And he's blooming for us. How about that? Beautiful. Here's another one of our wild rhubarbs. Super soft texture on the leaves. He's got little flowers coming here too as well. I bet this is edible. I don't know. Oop. Look at that. Beautiful fleshy leaves. Sorry. Well, I hope you enjoyed the Dic Dowen tour of Saddleback Butte State Park. Now remember, there's a lot of animals here that are threatened by development, so please respect this park and all the pretty creatures. And if you're lucky, you may even find a Mojave ground squirrel or a kit fox. All right? So there you go. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.